Is it sometimes hard for you to motivate yourself to do the things that you know you should be doing, like going to the gym, working on your business, or learning instead of watching Netflix? Maybe you find yourself while working always like grabbing your phone and checking news messages or scrolling on Instagram. Or do you find yourself scrolling down to the comments while watching a YouTube video because the video itself might be too boring for you? Then you might have a problem with dopamine, as many people do. Just a couple of weeks ago, like I don't exactly remember, but a couple of weeks or maybe month now, I had the exact same problem. I wanted to work, I wanted to get shit done on my business, and I found myself always like getting up and getting to the toilet very quick, or trying to get a coffee before I started, and or just doing some stuff that was not related with work and not related with the to-do list that I had to do. Or simply, in other words, I literally wasn't able to work with focus on my to-do list for a longer period of time. Then I heard about this thing called Dopamine Detox, and I tried it out immediately. And although I'm not claiming to be to not crave dopamine anymore, or don't need dopamine anymore, I don't do instant gratification anymore. By no means, I don't claim that at all. Since I did that, this is much better, and I can work with much more focus on my to-do lists and my work. And so the thing is, when I started with this dopamine detox, I did it, but I wasn't 100% strict about it. So, for example, then here I slacked off, and there I slacked off sometimes. Then I course corrected, and I wanted to document this dopamine detox for you for 1 week, and this is what I did. Not like this week, because it's the end of the week right now, but the week before that, and I documented it for you. So because I wasn't very strict about it, I challenged myself last week to completely cut out every instant gratification, everything that gives me dopamine, and to see how this would affect my productivity and also my mood, and whether this will work for me or not. And I made myself a little sheet in Google Docs, I think, and I call it the instant gratification sheet, where with all the stuff that I want to avoid, and also the stuff that I do want to do that don't spike my dopamine levels. So and today I want to share this with you and give you an overview how I did the last week. And yes, but before that, in case you don't know what dopamine detox is, or what dopamine in general is, I want to give you a quick overview. For everybody who doesn't know it, here's a very, very quick overview. Dopamine is basically just a hormone that lets us feel good whenever we expect pleasurable things to happen, or things that we perceive as being good for us. For example, sex, food, especially fast food, also Instagram and social media in general, because the algorithm of those social media platforms is extremely good in spiking our dopamine levels. And scientists also found out that if our dopamine levels are extremely low, or basically non-existing, we have trouble motivating us to do anything. So dopamine is in a sense good for us, because it motivates us to do things and to get stuff done. However, there are two problems with dopamine and with our dopamine levels. First of all, usually it is the way that the things that feel good in the short term, aka that spikes our dopamine levels, are not good for us in the long term, and the things that are not pleasurable in the short term are good for us in the long term. So basically our hormone system is against us, and this is why it's also sometimes hard to motivate ourselves and to do the thing that we know is good for us. Second of all, if the dopamine levels are too high, our body will develop a sort of a tolerance for the dopamine, which means that the pleasurable thing doesn't seem as pleasurable anymore, and we need even more extreme things to feel the same kind of pleasure. Furthermore, all the things that originally already felt boring now feel even more boring, and it's even harder to motivate us. And this is also the reason why it might be helpful to do some dopamine detox, to fight against this tolerance, to make it easier for you to do the hard things, because when the tolerance goes down and also the dopamine levels goes down, in theory at least, it should be easier for us to motivate ourselves to go to the gym and do the right thing when we know we should do it. Okay, so now I will show you how I performed, and yes, what also the results and the learning I had from it. And yeah, let's start. Okay, so this is what I made for myself, a little table in, you can use Excel or Google Tables, or how do you call this? So I made myself also a table with, on the left here is the date with 7 slots for 1 week, and then here comes the thing that I wanted to avoid, because they spike my dopamine. And if I would succeed, I would make it green, and or maybe not this green, but this one. And if I didn't succeed, I would make it red. And at the end of the week, I can see how I performed. And yes, of course, I want everything to be green, ideally. So what were the things that I didn't want it to do? You can see it. Didn't want it to sleep in, because this was or is sometimes a problem for me. Because I think it's also spiking my dopamine to snooze, because it's more convenient. Then of course jerking off and porn. Junk food spikes my dopamine, and sugary drinks. No Instagram. This is usually not a problem for me, because I deleted Instagram and I'm very, very rarely on there, like almost nothing. Maybe it will change in the future when this channel maybe will grow and people want to ask me questions or something on Instagram. Then I will be more active, but yes, nobody's asking me questions right now, so I will avoid it. Then also YouTube is a big thing, a big problem for me, because I find myself on YouTube a lot, and the thing with YouTube is you also think that you are productive and that you learn something, when often it's just, I think it's called like a circle jerk. You're just reinforcing your ideas that you already know, and that the knowledge that you already know. So I also decided to cut out YouTube. I 1 hour phone time, because the phone, we all know it is addictive. No music, because music is also some form of dopamine, and 3 liters of water. This is not really dopamine, but this is the thing that I wanted to do, to just stay hydrated. So okay, let's see how I performed. So this is how I did the last week. You can see it here. This is the dates where I performed, and the worst is sleeping in. I 3 times I slept in, but at the other times I did pretty well, except once I think I didn't drink enough. Oh, and another thing, Sunday, you can see Sunday is gray. So why did I made Sunday great? Not great, but gray. Because I find myself that I sometimes need a day off, where I don't force myself to perform 100% of the time. Otherwise, I can't perform anymore, and I get apathetic and lethargic. So for me, this is good to have a day where I allow myself to not do anything and to not be productive. Which does not mean that I'm not productive or lazy on Sundays, but that I allow myself to not be 100% productive. I decided to make it gray and not also green and red, because even though I would allow myself to not do anything, I know myself well enough that I would still judge me if there was everything red, or if at least something red. So I decided to make it gray, and to not judge myself at all for anything that I'm doing on Sundays. Okay, yes, this is how I performed. I think overall this is pretty good. Although I also had the pressure to perform here on YouTube, I have to admit that I'm not always always performing as well. So what about my productivity? Did it went up, or yes, how was it in general? I have to admit, like at the beginning of the week, it was totally fine. It was okay. I wasn't wasting time on YouTube or anything. I was always on time with my schedule, because I usually have a schedule for my day when I start something with my language learning, for example, or with business work, and when I go to the gym. So yeah, this was good. But I have to admit, like at the end of the week, it was kind of hard. Like it felt like, what's the word for it? Okay, I think the English phrase or the English word is cold turkey. I don't know why, but yes, cold turkey. And I assume this is how it feels, because at the end of the week it was hard to concentrate, but because I really craved the dopamine, and I found myself to be not as productive anymore. So yeah, I think this was because I went in too far. Maybe I should have started with less things, and it gave me some things that gave me dopamine. But another good learning, because this was like the week, the last week, not this week, and this week I stopped like doing it this strict, and especially for example YouTube, I watched YouTube videos again, not doing work but doing for example while I was eating, and I immediately felt that my productivity went down, and because I stopped being on point with my schedule anymore, because then you want to finish this YouTube video, and you think it's interesting, and you watch another one, and you don't start your work on time, or you're not as productive when you are learning languages or whatever. And at first I just wanted to allow myself to watch YouTube during the gym, so music, and then I felt like it was sneaking back in the bad habits. Plus I also realized that one bad habit also affects other areas. So one bad habit led to me also listening to music more, and watching more YouTube videos, etc. And you maybe know when you are weak once, it's more likely to then also cheat on your other habits, maybe to have a cheat meal or anything. So I probably will cut out YouTube again, maybe only the gym. I will allow myself to only listen to music in the gym, but otherwise I probably have to cut it out, because YouTube is extremely addictive. So this was the learning from last week. So this is my result. I think Dopamine Detox is great to cut out bad habits, and also yes, of course, track your habits, so you can see where you fucked up. And I will continue doing this, but I will also probably not be as hard on myself when I for example can't concentrate anymore. So yes, this was the video. I hope you liked it, and as always, let's stop talking and let's build our dream life.